Hello there, my name is Linda Jo Martin and I'm known on BookTube as the Book Lady. Today I am doing a July mid-month reading update. I will start with the books that I am listening to as audiobooks. I enjoy audiobooks, so I always have one in progress, but then I also have a Kindle book in progress and a paperback book in progress. I read them in different places at different times. The audiobooks, let's start with that. The first audiobook that I listened to this month is The Calculating Stars. It is a science fiction. I would say it's sort of pre-science fiction. It is post-apocalyptic. It is an alternative history because it takes place in the 1950s. Starting with a huge disaster that didn't actually happen, but in this book it did happen, but that's the era that the characters are living through, and the woman in the book, the main character, wants to become an astronaut. So that's pretty much what the book is about, and it's I don't want to give spoilers, so I'm not going to tell you a lot about these books. I had some reservations about this book, mainly centering on the way it was read by the person who narrated the audiobook. Anyhow, this book won several awards. One of them was the Hugo Award for science fiction, which it won just last year. So, a popular novel if you like science fiction, and this is the first in a series of books called the Lady Astronaut series. When I got done reading The Calculating Stars, I started reading The Broken Girls, and I am still reading it. I'm like in chapter 28 out of 37, and I'm finding it to be fascinating. It's written by Simone St. James. This is the first book that I've read by her, but now that I have become so attached to this book, which I'm going through at a very fast rate of speed because it's like if it was a paperback it would be a page turner, but I'm not sure what you would call an audiobook that you can't stop reading. It's one of those. This book is a murder mystery. However, the murder victim was from back in the 50s, and it's kind of strange that I've got 3 books going that had a connection to the 1950s. First was The Calculating Stars, which took place in the 50s as an alternative history, and the second is this one, The Broken Girls, which takes place partly in 2014 when the journalist is trying to find out what happened to the murder victim, but the murder itself took place back in the 1950s. So then the third book that I am doing that has a connection to the 50s is one of the paperback books that I'm going to be talking about in a minute, Grandma Gatewood's Walk, and I'll tell you why as soon as I get to that book. First, I'm going to do the Kindle books. The first Kindle book that I've been reading is It's All in the Story, California, which I'm doing the PopSugar Reading Challenge this year. Again, it's the 5th year I've done it, and one of the prompts is to read an anthology, so I thought, well, what would I like to read an anthology about? Because I'm usually not enthusiastic about reading anthologies. So I decided I wanted to read one about California, which is my home state. I did live up in North Idaho for 6.5 years, but now I'm back in Northern California, very close to the Oregon border, and I just wanted to read more about California. In fact, I think my channel is going to take a direction toward reading California literature, but I'm not quite there yet. Anyhow, It's All in the Story, California, and I've read about half of these stories now, and I'm not in any hurry to finish because like the PopSugar Reading Challenge lasts all the way to December, so I can read those final stories anytime between now and December 31st. And I'm enjoying them. They're wonderful stories. I especially like that they take place here in California, and I know a lot of the places, and I find the names and the locations familiar. So a wonderful anthology. I'm enjoying the stories. So the second book that I've been reading on Kindle is a memoir. It's called Your Blue Is Not My Blue. It's by Aspen Mattis, and one of the PopSugar Reading Challenge prompts is to read a book by an author who has flora or fauna in their name. So of course she calls herself Aspen. I found out by reading the book, which I've only completed a few chapters so far, but her name was actually Debbie. I don't know when she gets to the part in the book where she changes her name to Aspen, but because of that, I'm reading her book. And so let's do the paperbacks now. The first paperback I finished this month is A Capture the Castle, which was a read-along back in June here on BookTube, and it was supposed to be June 14th to 20th, and I'm a very slow reader, so I didn't finish till the beginning of July. Very much enjoyed this book. It's about a family living in a derelict castle and trying to find their way in the world. So the second book that I've read in paperback is Grandma Gatewood's Walk, which I've been talking about reading this one for over a year now, right here on BookTube videos, and I finally got to it. And I'm almost to the end of this now. I'm almost to the part where she finishes her hike. This woman, Grandma Gatewood, her name was Emma Gatewood, she wanted to be the first woman to do a through hike on the Appalachian Trail, and this happened in 1955, back when I was a baby, just about a preschooler. Well, let's see, she started her hike when I was 2 years old, and because I have a summer birthday, by the time she finished her hike, I was 3 years old. Anyhow, true history, Emma Gatewood, Appalachian Trail, fascinating. I like travel memoirs, which can be all kinds of travel, hiking, biking, whatever. I'll probably read some more memoirs as time goes by. Well, this isn't actually a memoir, it's a biography. She didn't write her own memoir, but she did keep a journal during her travels. And this was only her first hike. She hiked the Appalachian Trail all the way through 3 times, and the third time was when she was 75. The first time, the one that's recorded in this book, she was 67. So inspirational. As soon as I get done with that one, I'll be reading this Light on the Devils, Coming of Age on the Klamath. It's a memoir that is local to where I live, and I started reading it at one time, but I need to finish reading it. So that's what's happening here, and I am keeping up with my crochet squares. Remember I said I was going to make a book blanket, and I've been crocheting. I've got white ones for Bible books that I read. And then this is nonfiction, and this is fiction, more nonfiction, more Bible. I got some of the squares done, and I'm going to do a lot more. I wanted to make the small squares because it reminds me of an Afghan my grandmother owned when I was a child, and hers was many different colors, but they were held together by black thread. So when I get done with these, I will probably buy some black yarn and put them all together with that. So that is the end of my mid-month reading update, and I'll get back to you in another video. Bye.